welcome to our 18th and final Big Ten preview for the 2025 season. Chris, here we are. We are previewing the OHIO podcast favorite team, Ohio State. We made it, brother. We got here.
Thank goodness. It's been a long summer between magazine articles and previews. Oh, it's been a long hot summer, Eric, but you know what? We are now, as we record this, 16 days from kickoff in Columbus. I am just I am so ready for this. So psyched.
When this posts, we will be exactly 2 weeks. We'll be 2 Saturdays away when this posts on Saturday. So, super excited to dive into this preview. JR from the Big Ten Huddle, our buddy, many Sunday nights, JR joined us for the first part of the show until he just got super busy with his own channel. He jumps back in to help us preview the Buckeyes this year. He does a great job. It's a really fun interview. You all are going to love it. But Chris, it's time for you and I to give our official predictions here of our Buckeyes. But before we do that, let's dive in and look a little bit at how we did last year. Why don't we? Because
Wasn't too
boy,
bad.
wasn't that an interesting season last year? So we start off last year with wins over Akron, Western Kentucky, Marshall in the non-con. That is not a murderer's row in the non-con schedule at
Definitely
all.
not.
But we got some nice wins in there. We opened up Big Ten play on the road in East Lansing with a 38-7 win over Sparty, 35-7 over Iowa before the big one out there in Eugene, Oregon, a 32-31, a 1-point loss at Autzen Stadium in what was the game of the year in the regular season. And it would set the stage up for later in the year, which we will talk about in just a minute. We bounced back with a 4-point win at home against Nebraska in what was an ugly football game, but a game that we won nonetheless. And then we went on the road into Happy Valley in a game where James Franklin himself, like he always does, and Ohio State took down Penn State 20-13. And what one might argue was a really needful win for the Buckeyes at the time. Purdue 45-0, slobber fest. We just destroyed them. Northwestern 31-7. That one was at Wrigley Field. And then we stomped out some cigarettes at home against Indiana, 38-15 win over Signetti and the Hoosiers, before losing in heartbreaking fashion at home to Scum in a 10-13 loss in a game where this guy just about went to blows with a fan from the team up north in disgusting fashion. We thought the season was over. Legitimately thought Ryan Day was done at Ohio State. But then something magical happened. Tennessee rolled into town several weeks later, and this team found their mojo. They found the spark they needed. They curb stomped Tennessee 42-17 at home in a must-win game for Ryan Day. That's what I'm going to call it, a must-win game for Ryan Day. They then go on the road to the Rose Bowl, and they take care of some of those demons against Oregon, 41-21, and a curb stomping of the Ducks. They go down to the Cotton Bowl to take on Texas, where the infamous scoop and score happened, 28-14, setting up a national championship win over Notre Dame, 34-23. Last year, Vegas had this team at 10.5. I was at 11-1. Chris, you were at 12-0. They went 10-2 in the regular season. We did not win money on them. However, who cares? They won a natty. Overall, last season, they ended up going 14-2, 7-2 in the Big Ten. Ryan Day now sits at 70 wins to 10 losses. So every 8 games, he's winning 7 of them at Ohio State, where they now have a 978 wins to 335 losses and only 53 ties. And now, Chris, because of last season, Ohio State now has a winning record in bowl games, 30 wins, 29 defeats in bowls. That number used to be really negative the other direction. And Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer, Ryan Day have turned that bad boy around and really gotten that number in the right direction. 41 conference titles. We need to add to that number here shortly. But that was the year that was last year. And Chris, since we started doing this show all the way back in 2019, that was the first time we got to cover a national championship Buckeye team here at the OHIO podcast.
Yeah, yeah, and it felt good, Eric. It was a great season last season. Ups and downs. It was a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, some people will agree with me. Some people won't. Thought we got hosed by the officials in Oregon. Um, Ryan Day lost his head against Michigan. Um, I lost all faith in Ryan Day at that point.
A
I
lot of
wanted
us
him
did, yeah.
gone. I wanted him gone. I was wrong. Um, he came out and made the most miraculous of runs, completely turning around his losing record versus top five opponents, completely turning around his lack of a national title. Um, Something special happened, starting with that first home playoff game against Tennessee, and I'm looking for him to build on it this year, Eric. Will we get to another national title game? I sure hope so. I think we got the talent to do it. And I think there's enough parity in football this year that it could be done again. But either way, I think this is a team that's going to show a lot of success this year. I think this is a team that's going to get back to the playoff. I think it's a team that's going to get back to the Big Ten title game. I think it's a team that's going to go over that hump versus Michigan, because that is what's right now. That is what is keeping Ryan Day from being more than just a great coach. It's keeping him from being an elite coach at Ohio State. Is that losing record versus the team up north? If he
100%.
fixes that, Eric, I'm telling you right now, this guy's climbing the ladder. He gets another natty. He's second to only Woody Hayes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it is. There's a monkey on his back.
He got
I
rid of
don't.
the first one.
He got rid of the gorilla, so now he needs to get rid of the monkey that's there. Um, I would say there's a cloud hovering over him in Columbus. It's not a storm cloud. It's a nuisance cloud. It's a cloud that's blocking the sun, but it's not a storm cloud anymore. You know, um, he's bought himself some time, and he can really buy himself, I think, a lot more faith from the people like yourself and Buckeye Nation if he goes into Ann Arbor this upcoming year and puts a whooping on them.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I've been preaching it all off season, and now we're here on the precipice of the season. I think at the end of the day, I got two goals for Ryan Day this year: get to the playoffs and beat Scum. What about winning the Big Ten? Yeah, that would be nice, but it's not a necessity for him this season, in my opinion.
See, that's the one spot where I think we differ, Eric.
Why is it a necessity?
To me, it just feels like it needs to be done. It's been too long since Ohio State played
Yeah,
for and won a Big
yeah, it
Ten
would be
title.
nice to get it, sure, but you didn't have to win it. You didn't even have to go last year,
You
and you
didn't.
still won a national
You
championship.
didn't. You're right. It's a different game. From a fan's mindset, it is still important. Is it the ultimate importance? No. The Natty's more important. I agree 100%. But to me, I look at this schedule, Eric, and I see conceivably four teams that could be 10-2.
Yeah, which
So to
I
me,
actually
that Big Ten title
I
matters in
actually
that
have
case.
three teams going 8-1 this season in the Big
Mm-hmm.
Ten. One of them is Ohio State. Because Ohio State goes 10-2 overall, in my opinion, 8-1 in the Big Ten. They get left out of the Big Ten championship because of it.
I still don't get your love with Texas.
I don't have a love for Texas. I have some serious questions with the experience of this roster going into such a big
But
game.
but the thing is, Ohio State actually has more production returning than what Texas
Doesn't
does.
matter. It's the positions in which they are in. That's the thing.
And
Look,
Arch
we are
Manning has done nothing
Chris, we
to
are
be any better.
literally, as of recording this, 16 days away from the start of the game. Who's the
Yes,
starting quarterback?
only Ryan Day knows.
Exactly. That's a problem
Why? He
because no one
just
has separated
uh,
themselves to the point
is
where
it
you're
that
like,
nobody's
that's our
separated, or
starter.
is it that nobody's separated themselves, or is it just that Ryan Day hasn't announced it?
It's because no one has separated themselves. I'm confident in that.
Or are we basing that on our eye test of a very vanilla practice we watched?
Possibly. It wasn't that vanilla.
Eric, I don't think they threw maybe two passes more than 10 yards.
There's a couple more. They threw quite a few against air. That doesn't mean nothing, but
Right.
yeah, and that's all. Every highlight I get is against air, and I'm like, I don't care how pretty the ball looks against air. Show me what it looks like when you're breathing down the neck of a rush, and you've got double coverage out on the outside, and you've got to somehow put that ball in a window this big on with perfect timing. That's what matters. I
But
don't
I would
think they're
argue
there
that
yet,
I don't think Texas is there yet either.
but they can do a little bit more offensively with the run and the quarterback run. Now it's dangerous to do that.
That I will admit, Arch Manning can run, and he should give Nico a call and find out how that works out against Ohio State.
Well, he doesn't have to. He remembers how that worked out.
Does
Maybe
he
maybe
though?
maybe he
I don't
doesn't.
think he remembers any. He remembers about as much as Troy Aikman did from his last game in the Cotton Bowl.
Anyway, either way, we will get into that in a little bit. I I feel we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's prepare the stage. I got a great interview with JR. Make sure you stick around to the end of this video. You're going to hear a lot more of Chris and mine on our opinion and disagreements about the upcoming season, but you're going to love this interview. Hang tight. And welcome back, everybody. And I am joined now by the man, the myth, the legend. He is the all-star of the Big Ten Huddle, JR. Welcome back to the OHL podcast, JR. It's been a minute.
Hey, I appreciate you having me here. I can't say too much about me, man. You had Doug Maurice on your show and everything. You've been having awesome guests this summer. Really been enjoying the podcast, and you guys are killing it.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's we got a lot of people with us who are super hungry and excited, and got a good team, and really excited about this season, dude. I know you are too. The Big Ten is absolutely lit this year. This is the deepest the conference has been, maybe in my lifetime.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to that second tier this season. You know, can that second tier really become what it needs to do in order to challenge the tier one teams a little bit more? If they're able to do that, then you're looking at a conference that's going to get a whole lot more respect. But if they're not able to do that, you're going to continue to get the top heavy label on it and stuff, which is fine. I think if you win the national championship, that deserves some more credit there. But like we saw last year in the bowl games and stuff like that, the second tier of the Big Ten isn't all that much far off from the second tier of the SEC. It's just the tier one of the Big Ten is better than tier one of the SEC right now.
Yeah. Well, you're out there fighting the good fight on the front lines, man, for the Big Ten, dude, and we appreciate that, brother. And yeah, so you're out there waving the Big Ten flags for all 18 schools and fighting the good fight against people like Paul Feinbaum and the rest of them. So
Paul Feinbaum, Peter Burns, ESPN, SEC honks and everything. I'll take them all down.
that's it, brother. That's it. Kind of similar to how Ohio State took everybody down last year, man.
Good
Hey,
one.
yeah, this is this is I don't want to say it's the defense of the national championship type of year. Ryan Day refuses to say we're defending anything. It's a brand new team. They're chasing their own national championship. I kind of like that, dude. Do you like that that little twist on it, a little bit different than what we've heard before.
Yeah, I think it was really led by the players coming off of what we heard in spring right away, which is that the players wanted to take down some of the national championship stuff because they recognize that can't get complacent, can't say, oh, we already won a national championship, maybe we'll coast for a year or two, we're still good. I think this team realizes the I don't know if it's pressure or responsibility. I think Ryan Day would probably call it the responsibility of being an Ohio State Buckeye, which is you don't take days off, you don't take reps off. You're expected to win every single game at Ohio State, and if you don't do it, you're going to hear about it.
Yep. So as we've done these previews, we've done 17 before this one, so that we always finish with this one to end. And the narrative surrounding Ryan Day is a lot different than it was this time last year, brother. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a lot different. And I proposed this question to Doug Maurice, and it. We ended up spending 35 minutes on just this topic, but I want to present it to you because I want your thoughts too. And because I think you have a different perspective than maybe a lot of us because you deal a lot more with other Big Ten schools and their fan bases and things of that nature. Is Ryan Day, is he John Cooper, but with a national championship? Or is he one more national championship away from being the second greatest head coach in Ohio State history? Who is he? And is he maybe both?
Well, I feel like I'm not going to make excuses for Ryan Day, but I do feel like for whatever reason, Ryan Day has just endured the anti breaks of all anti breaks this decade, pretty much, right? I mean, starting in 2021, you had the cheating scandal for a couple years. We can argue, until we're blue in the face if that mattered or not. At the end of the day, rules were broken, and I don't think anybody can really go against that fact right there. So rules were broken by one team for 2 years. Okay, then the year after that, you lost. You got to take that one on the chin. You lost. You didn't win that game. You can blame it on Kyle McCord all you want. You can blame it on whatever you want, you can blame it on it, but you got to take that one on the chin. You lost that one. And then last year, you got to take that one on the chin too and know that you probably win that game if you put Devin Brown in instead of Will Howard. But Ryan Day rocked with his guy. I think it's admirable to want to stick with your dude, but at the same time, you also have to recognize what's best for the team. And unfortunately, Will Howard in that game is not what was best for the team. Now, I don't know if that's because Michigan has his number. I don't know, what it is. They probably win that game if they have a capable field goal kicker who I guess isn't injured, because that's what we heard was he was injured, which I don't know why he's kicking field goals if he's injured, but it is what it is. So, um, so those reasons make me hesitate to say he's just John Cooper with a national championship. I don't think even if he gets a second national championship, he'll be seen as above an Urban Meyer or Mike or Jim Tressel. I almost said Mike Tressel, not the Wisconsin defensive coordinator. A Jim Tressel or anything like that, because I do think you need that dominance over the team up north. And right now, yes, a national championship can cure that, but a national championship is not going to take care of that when it comes into encompassing your entire career. It buys you some time, but I mean, Josh Pate said on his show, and I agree with him. There's still pressure on Ryan Day. Not the same kind of pressure. It's a unique pressure that only happens at Ohio State, but there's still pressure on Ohio State to get a win.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's got to right the ship a little bit, and put some W's in the old win column against his biggest rival. He knows that. I think he understands that. Do you think he's a different coach after winning a national championship?
Yes. Yeah. I think the pressure is off his shoulders a little bit. I think that he is a little bit more free. Now we'll see during the season. Maybe when they get that first loss, and they are going to have a loss at some point this season, whether it's Texas, Washington, team up north. I don't know. They're going to have a loss at some point during this season, and his reaction and the players' reaction is going to say a lot about it, because you can't have one of those team meetings every single time, right? Those team meetings that we heard that happened after the Team Up North game. That's a kind of once in a coaching career, maybe twice in a coaching career type of thing to happen. So I'm more interested in seeing what Ryan Day is like after the first loss happens than I am in seeing what he's like right now. Because right now he's golden. Pressure's off. He's feeling good. What's it going to look like after that first loss happens? Let's just hope it goes down the season a little bit so we can take care of the Texas and the SEC.
What do you think about his offseason coaching moves, promoting Brian Hartline, bringing in Tyler Bowman to run the offensive line, going out there and getting Matt Patricia as your defensive coordinator? What do you think of his offseason coaching moves?
I think they make sense. I think that there was a little bit of an overreaction to the Matt Patricia stuff. I do have some concern about Brian Hartline as a play caller, just because he's never really done it before. Now, I don't so much have concern about Brian Hartline as a person because he's excelled at everything he's done in his life, and that's just kind of the winner mentality that he has. And I also think that if you didn't make Brian Hartline the offensive coordinator, he's probably gone after this year, or he probably left in the offseason. So if you wanted to hold on to Brian Hartline, it was a move you had to make. I just hope that it doesn't hold the offense back at all. And I think Tyler Bowen was a really good addition. It showed the power, it showed the flex of Ohio State to take a sitting offensive coordinator from a Power 4 school and say, no, I think you'll come over here. I think you'll be our offensive line coach. And if we're being honest right now, with the way that they've kind of structured that offensive line room with multiple former offensive line coaches in that room, you need somebody who has experience as an offensive coordinator. You need somebody with experience running a staff, because it really is their own little mini staff over there in the offensive line room. And I think it was a great move by Ryan Day. If nothing else, for the recruiting, I think the recruiting is going to get much, much better. It already has gotten better, but it's only going to continue to get better under Bowen. And finally, the Matt Patricia thing. Look, Matt Patricia's won Super Bowls as the New England Patriots defense coordinator. I know he wasn't successful at the Detroit Lions as a head coach, but I've seen dudes flame out as head coaches and come back and do well as coordinators, whether it be offensive or defensive. I don't think it's fair to judge him based on what happened at Detroit. I think it's fair to judge him on what he does this season and to take into his accomplishments he had winning the Super Bowls, but it's not the end all be all. It's not going to guarantee anything. He still has to get back into the college coaching. He still has to find a way to, produce some really good defenses for this team.
Yeah. It seems like the rapport he has with the players, from my own, just watching practice with my own two eyes and seeing him interact with the players, it seemed very different than what Jim Knowles was like. Jim Knowles was kind of old crotchety, and I liked him. I liked Jim Knowles, um, but Matt Patricia seems like a rejuvenated young man coaching these players, and it seemed to. And what I saw, it infused a ton of energy into that defense. They were flying around at practice, and gave me a ton of confidence in this defense.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, and I don't hate Jim Knowles like some other Ohio State fans do. I get it. I get why they don't like him. I get why they feel some resentment toward him. But I don't know, man. You win a national championship at Ohio State, whether you're a position coach or coordinator, even if you leave on bad terms, I'm still gonna feel pretty good about you. You won a
Yeah,
national championship. You were part of making that happen at Ohio State. So it's hard for me to feel the same type of resentment that other people have. But I get it. I'm not gonna roast anybody for
yeah.
feeling that resentment. But the comparison that you made between Patricia and Knowles really is a complete kind of 180 between the two of them. You have Jim Knowles, who wanted to just kind of scheme, put things together, and he wanted the guys to kind of formulate into his defense. It really feels like Matt Patricia, with how relational he is with the guys and everything else. It really feels like we're going to get what he did in New England, which is basically, what do you do really well, and we are going to put you in the defense to make sure that happens. I don't think every defensive coordinator can do that. I think that's a special trait that only certain defensive coordinators have. that's something that I think you can take from the New England Patriots and say, this is what he did there. He's going to do this here. Even when you look at him and what he's, doing in practice, getting more relational with the players, the biggest thing to me is going to be CJ Hicks this season. If he can find a way to bring that 5-star out of CJ Hicks, we've not seen anybody be able to bring it out of him. If he can find a way to bring that 5-star talent that CJ Hicks had when he was being recruited and implement it, maybe not on every down, but implement it on third downs, implement it in, obvious passing situations, whatever it might be, then I think that's going to be a huge or a major feather in Matt Patricia's cap, and it's going to be something that we admire him for.
Yeah, we'll get into it when we get into the depth chart, but I'm super high on the defensive ends. They're a lot deeper, I think, than what people realize. And I saw C.J. Hicks put Ethan Onwue on his butt in a drill. I mean, literally put him on his butt in a drill. And that is a large human being to butt plant, and he did it, man. So he's got some strength, not just speed. He's got some strength. Um, let's do that. Let's jump into the depth chart here. And then we're going to do this a little bit different than we have the other 17. I've really leaned on everybody else's experience because I don't know their teams. I kind of know this one, so I'm going to just kind of give you mine, JR. I'm going to let you respond. And let's start with the big one, the quarterback. I'm going to say it's still Julian Saint's job here. And as of our recording on Wednesday night of this will post on Friday. No announcement yet on who the starter is going to be. Ryan Day is going to let him go through the weekend, have another scrimmage, and then probably announce it on Monday or Tuesday so that he has 2 weeks of game prep as a starter. I think it's going to be Julian Saint.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I do think that Lincoln Keenholz has an upside to him that would be Heisman Trophy caliber, more so because of the play. I'm not necessarily saying that because of the talent, just because we don't know it, but the style of play and the excitement that he could bring to your offense, I think has that type of capability. But to me, Julian Sayin is the guy that is going to offer more consistency with his arm. He's going to be the one that is the better processor. He's going to be the one. He might take a bad sack here and there. He might get some balls batted down. I do think that his height is a little exaggerated. I don't think he's sub 6 foot. I've seen him next to some people. I don't see him to be sub 6 foot. So I think Julian Sayin is going to be the guy. I think you're right, but at the same time, I don't think we're going to see the last of Lincoln Keenholz just after this competition. I think you're going to see him with special packages,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, kind of like Bo Prabula at Penn State last year. I would not be surprised if you see kind of what Bo Prabula did at Penn State last year, this year at Ohio State.
Interesting. Running back, James Peoples, C.J. Donaldson, Sonic and Knuckles, as they're being titled. I love it, by the way.
It's a great nickname.
It's fantastic. It is. I love it. Woody used to say you need a pair and a spare. That spare I think is going to probably be Bo Jackson. He broke another long run off on the scrimmage over the weekend. He's going to be too good to not put on the field at certain times. I think similar to what you saw in James Peoples is probably what you're going to see. That third back, get in the games late. Try to give him some more run. And as far as Turbo's concerned, I think he's probably fourth, maybe fifth on the depth chart, but he will be used in special teams. They are definitely trying to get him acclimated to kickoff returns. He could be a weapon in special teams. So that's your running back room. You agree?
Yeah, totally agree. I think Bo Jackson is going to be Quinshon Judkins at some point in his career. The contact balance, the way in which he runs with the football, wanting to punish the person in front of him, it's truly spectacular what he's been able to do as a freshman. I know he hasn't really accomplished anything, but when you watch him play, he does not run like a freshman at the college level. He looks much more like a vet, and I think that we're going to see him probably more than we saw James Peoples last year, if I'm being honest. I think Travion Henderson had the pass blocking ability that you couldn't take him off the field on third down. Maybe we get that in James Peoples or C.J. Donaldson, perhaps. But if we don't have that level of protection that Travion Henderson had, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw Bo Jackson in there a little bit more and maybe a similar amount of carries, but more snaps would not surprise me at all.
You better be good if your parents name you Lamar Bo Jackson.
I posted my freshman to watch list and I had Bo Jackson on there, and some like Northwestern fan or something said I had to do a double take on number 15, and I responded and I said the funny part is his first name is Lamar. The
Yeah,
guy responded, he's like, that's fantastic.
yeah. I mean, I gotta feel like his dad was like, I'm either gonna set you up to be a stud or you're gonna be an absolute failure, young man.
Well, I was
Uh,
thinking about this the other day. How old is Lamar Jackson? He's like what, not even 30?
no, man, that's a good question. He's
If
got to be. He's well,
if
because he
Bo
won the
Jackson
Heisman a while ago.
well, it's like if he's 30, let's say he's 30, okay? If he's 30, Bo Jackson's 18 now. They didn't know who Lamar Jackson
Yeah,
was.
it
Lamar
was
Jackson
just
was 12, you know?
yeah.
I mean,
Lamar
Lamar Jackson would have
Lamar
to be.
Lamar's 28, man.
That's what I'm saying. He's only 10 years older than Bo. They had no idea. They named him Lamar Bo Jackson, thinking, oh, he's gonna have a fun middle name, and then Lamar Jackson starts, winning all this stuff. He won the Heisman, correct? I'm
Yeah,
not
for
making that up.
Louisville.
Okay,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
won the Heisman. Then he goes to the Ravens, and he's an MVP candidate type of player. Like, it's like, okay, well, now we're just stuck with this Lamar Jackson, Bo Jackson. What are
I
you gonna
gotta
do?
imagine mom picked Lamar because she liked the name, and dad picked Bo because he was a Bo Jackson fan, and then he
Oh, it's
grows up to thanks, mom.
That's what all kinds of dads do, right? They get to pick
Yeah,
the middle name and they think it's fun that they had the same last name as some other famous person, so they
yep.
pick the first name. Yeah.
My wife picked Aiden for our son, and I picked Joel, the middle name, because I wanted the initials AJ because of AJ Hawk.
There you go. There you go.
All right, let's go with wide receiver. This one is about as easy can be. Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, they're at the X and the Z. Brandon Ennis is at the Y. However, they are moving Jeremiah Smith all over the field, and especially in preparation of game number 1 against Texas, so that they can't blanket him. So they're gonna find different ways to put the Texas defense under pressure just by moving him around. But those are your 3 starters at wide receiver, and I really don't think it's a question. There were some people saying, what if maybe Mylan Graham can challenge Brandon Ennis, or the talented freshman Quincy Porter, or Bryson Rogers, who jumped in the portal and then jumped back out. I don't see that happening. I think those 3 are your solid 3 starters.
Yeah, they're your solid three. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Bryson Rogers, get a little bit of run, kind of prep him for next season after
Sure.
Carnell Tate is gone. Mylan Graham might be there as well, but it really kind of sounds like Mylan Graham really. If I say this, it's going to sound bad about him, but so I'm not going to say it. But struggles with a little bit of consistency. Mylan Graham does. It
He's
sounds
young.
like,
He's
yeah,
young.
he's young and
And
he's going to get there. He's a 5-star.
yeah,
He's got amazing feet. He's going to get there.
this was his first spring, because
Yeah.
he was he didn't get to come on until summer last year, and they
Hmm.
redshirted him. So this is really his freshman year, if you could say redshirt freshman year. So
Yeah.
he's got time. He's got time to develop, and if he stays patient and he follows the plan that is set forth by Heartline, he'll be just fine in a year or two. All right.
Oh, let me ask you this really fast. I
Yeah.
want your thoughts
Hmm.
on this. So, the wide receiver group this year, the 3 you mentioned, Noah Mecca Egbuka. I was
Hmm.
talking with some people on Twitter today because I rated that Ohio State would have a better offense this year than they did last year. Kind of felt like a little bit of a hot take. Some people didn't like it. That's okay. I have my reasons for it. But one of my reasons was because I do think the wide receiver room is going to be improved this year than it was last year. A lot of people telling me I am underrating how much of Mecca Egbuka meant to this team. I don't think I'm so much underrating what he meant as much as I just believe in Carnell Tate that much and his ability to at least be enough of a fraction of what Emeka Egbuka was with the improvement of Jeremiah Smith that I think this wide receiver room could be better than they were last year. What do you think?
I am 100% with you.
Mm.
And I'll tell you, there's another aspect to this that people aren't taking into account. Nothing against Will Howard. Loved Will Howard. Loved his leadership. Loved his demeanor. Loved his confidence. Julian Saint's got a better arm,
I
especially
agree. I
especially
agree. I did a push between Julian Sane and Will Howard because of the experience, number
Sure.
one, and also because of the red zone efficiency. But I feel like Julian Sane has a higher ceiling. I feel like Julian Sane offers a deep ball for this team, and for me, that's a big aspect of the running game that you're going to have now that you didn't have as much last year. Teams weren't dropping their safeties back as far because they knew that Will Howard didn't have the accuracy downfield. They knew they could recover on some of his underthrows and things like that. This year, those safeties aren't going to be able to play in the box, especially when you have Max Clare and his athleticism. I know we're probably going to get to him in a minute, but
Yep.
especially when you have his athleticism, his ability to go down the field, those safeties aren't going to be able to play up in the box, and it's going to open up things more for the running backs.
100% with you on that. And yeah, we're thinking on the same wavelength there. And by the way, you have Jeremiah Smith, who was just trying to figure things out last year as a freshman and who happened to be the best wide receiver on the team, figuring it out. And now he's back with another year of development. And oh, yeah, Carnell Tate's your next first round draft pick, and he's motivated to be that. And Brandon Ennis has got a giant chip on his shoulder, and his confidence levels through the roof. Yeah, they're better. Tight end, you brought it up. Let's talk about it. Max Clare from Purdue comes over. He joins Will Case-Merrick. I think those are your starting tight ends. Max Clare is your passing weapon. Will Case-Merrick is your blocking tight end. Although don't forget about him in the passing attack either, because he will burn you if you do. But that is a safety valve of all safety valves for a first-year starting quarterback to have someone like that talking about Max as your starting tight end man.
Yeah, it's really fantastic, and it offers so much athleticism for this team. And Brian Hartline is going to be very, very happy with the flexibility he has with this room. I'm just imagining this team coming out on 1st and 10 in the shotgun and running 4 seams with Max Clare, Brandon Ennis, Carnell Tate, and Jeremiah Smith. You're not going to be able to put 3, 4 safeties back there on first down to be able to stop this. You have all of those guys run seam routes, and it's basically going to be like a slant throw for 10, 12, 13 yards, right? If Julian Sane has the accuracy that we think he does, and I don't just think we do, I think he does have it, then he's going to be able to pick apart defenses. He's going to be able to place the ball in areas. As long as the offensive line holds up long enough to give him time, he's going to be able to do all these things, and Max Clare is a huge reason why. Will Kazmarek, in addition to that, I think he's being forgotten a little bit. He is a fantastic blocker. He is somebody that is possibly going to be a leader on the team this year. It would not
Mm-hmm.
surprise me at all, especially with Keenan Bailey and the way he's kind of talked about him being the leader of that room as well. I know Will Kazmarek is not going to catch as many balls as Max Clare, so he's going to get overlooked some, but I think we got to really appreciate what he's going to bring, the toughness and everything else to this team.
Yeah. Yeah, we were at practice, Chris and I, and we literally heard the tight ends coach say, "This is your room, Will Casemark. This is you're the leader of this room."
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, okay, I'm gonna
Uh,
take his word for it.
And it's amazing too. 2-star transfer coming out of Ohio. I mean, when they took him, I thought to myself, what in the world are we doing taking a 2-star transfer out of Ohio University? Long behold, he's become the face and the leader of that room. Major
Yeah,
props to Keenan Bailey.
yeah, 100%. Jelani Thurman is, I think he's kind of your Max Clare backup in the passing. Struggled the day I was at practice. He struggled blocking. It's still a struggle for him. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I like the kid. Loved his energy. He came out and ran down the sideline, high fiving all the kids and fans. Like great energy. You could tell he's really trying to take the next step. But when it came to the blocking drills, he was not good. So
Yeah, he's going to be a receiver like Max Clare, in my
yep,
opinion. He's just got
yep,
to work on those hands. He caught the ball 3 times, I think Ryan Day said in that one playoff game. So he's just got to find his receiving ability there, and he has the athleticism and everything else to be able to do that. Christian Bennett's really more of your secondary blocker
you
there.
got it. Yep, you nailed it. Those are your backups. All right, let's go over to the line, dude. And this is really the reason why I'm so giddy about this team this year. I have been preaching to everybody who will listen. This offensive line is good. Let's go back to the end of last year. You suffered some major injuries. You had people coming in off the bench, and I thought, I don't know, man. I just don't know. You had Donovan Jackson kicking out the tackle. You had Hensman, who was benched at the beginning of the year, put back in the offensive line at guard, then kicked over to center. And lo and behold, this offensive line played exceptionally well in the college football playoff. And you got three of them returning this year from that national championship team. You go out, you get Ethan Onwue, the big left tackle from Rice. You go over and you steal one of the top offensive linemen from Minnesota, and a guy who I am very impressed with, and Philip Daniels. He is a mean SOB, dude. And he's what we have been lacking in the game is an offensive line that is like, we ain't taking crap from nobody. We are going to be the instigators. That's what I get from this offensive line. I love the way Tyler Bowen is coaching these guys. They're in all different kinds of positions. So, snap number one offensively against Texas. Where are they all going to land, dude? Because there's 6 or 7 guys here that legitimately could start.
Yeah, man. Jeez, I was hoping you'd start with who's going to start, because at this point,
Okay,
I have
let me
no
give you my
idea.
prediction. Here's my prediction.
Okay, go ahead.
I still think Ethan Onwue starts left tackle.
Okay.
I still think he starts left tackle. I think Luke Montgomery is your left guard. I think Carson Hensman is your center. I think Tegra Shabola gets nod at right guard. And I think at right tackle, they are going to put in Phillips. I think he wins the job. Now, that leaves Austin Severville. Where does he go? Because he might be your starting left tackle.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, because Ryan Day said that he is primarily or only repping at left tackle, and then you had Tyler Bowen be asked about it, and Tyler Bowen was kind of like, well, no, he's moving around, he's left tackle, right tackle, he's played a little bit of
Yeah.
guard, so
But he's got to play, right?
yeah, well, Ryan Day said he was going to be a starter before fall
Yeah.
camp,
He's your Iron Buckeye, right?
yeah, a
So
two-time Iron Buckeye. He was the Iron Buckeye in the spring
he's your
and
starting
in the
left
summer.
tackle. He's your starting
Yeah.
left tackle.
So, I mean, he's in there somewhere, but I just like what does that mean for Onionwa? Did they miss on Onionwa, or did they just hit that much better than they thought they did on Philip Daniels? Because in my opinion, you went out and got the star left tackle so that way you could utilize everybody else. Excuse me, in those 4 spots. If you don't even have Onionwa starting, man, I would love to believe that everybody else on that offensive line just got that much better and completely beat him out. But it feels like to me, if that happens, then Onionwa wasn't what you thought he was, and you missed on that transfer edition, which, isn't the worst thing in the world, but it does kind of suck, because, well, maybe they could have went out and got a Murad Watson. Maybe he could have went out and got somebody else on the interior of the defensive line to help them out a little bit more, instead of going out and getting this left tackle. But I don't know. I still feel like Onionwa was going to be the left tackle. Syreville is going to be the right tackle. Daniels is only a redshirt sophomore. He's got time. And I feel like him being that 6th spot, kind of like Syreveld was last year, rotating the interior of that offensive line. I would not be surprised at all if, like we saw in the playoffs, Syreveld, Montgomery, Tegra Shabola, all kind of rotating those guard spots. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Daniels get in there and start doing that as well. So I guess if you were going to ask me who my starting 5 for the Texas game is, I still think it's Onionwa at left tackle. If he's not left, I think he's probably right. And Syreveld is left. And then Montgomery, Hensman, and Shabola on the interior. And you see some kind of rotation between Montgomery, Shabola, and Daniels. Because I think they are at the mindset now where it's, if you deserve to play, we'll play you.
Yeah. Padilla is going to get some run, I think, as the backup center.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Padilla. I like him. By the way, we have a commercial with him on the OHO podcast.
That's awesome.
Him and Cook both
I
came
love
up.
Jake Cook too.
Yeah, both of them. Watch the OHIO podcast. That's coming out, everybody. It's
Sweet.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Sweet.
Anywho, I love the offensive line this year. I am super high on them. This is the most excited I have been about the offensive line 7 years or more. At least under the Ryan Day era.
Well, it's interesting because The narrative out there right now is that Ohio State is going to struggle on the offensive line, and everybody
I
keeps
don't get it.
saying, I don't get it either. Everybody keeps saying, well, they lost three starters, and it's like, okay, yeah, they lost Simmons, they lost Jackson, and they lost, Seth McLaughlin, and I am one of those people that doesn't like to just say the unit can be better without the star guys like that, but you saw it in the playoffs. You
Yep.
saw them working together. You saw them. I mean, they weren't like completely smashing defensive lines. I think Texas gave them a really good challenge there, and that was really good between those two. But you got people talking about Texas's defensive line like it's best in the country, and Ohio State, like I said, they didn't beat them, but they also didn't get handled by them. It was probably a push between the two in that game. So if you got that going on and these guys have a little bit more experience now, yeah, sure, you lost three starters from the beginning of the season, but by the end of it, the five guys that were starting, you got four of them back, and four of those guys were playing really well.
All right, flipping over to the other side, let's talk defense. We tease the defensive line. We'll start at the ends. Kenyatta Jackson Jr., I believe, is your starter, along with Caden Curry and C.J. Hicks and Bo Atkinson, the transfer from North Carolina, are your two deep. And I think all four play, and all four play a lot. And I'm hearing a lot of good things about Kenyatta Jackson Jr.
Yeah, I think this defensive line is deeper than what we had last year, and that's no slight to Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry. I just think they have gotten better this season or this offseason. They have a little bit more ownership, knowing that this is really kind of their defensive line. It was really more JT Tuimoloau's and Jack Sawyer's and Tyleek and Ty Hamilton. It was really more their defensive line. Now I feel like these guys have more ownership over it, and I think that's good for them overall. And I feel like this defensive line is not going to have the ceiling of what last year's defensive line had, but they're going to have the same consistency because, like I said, I think the depth is there. I think that the talent is there to be good. Not so much the experience of what those other guys had, but still a very talented defensive line and one that can be consistent. But I don't think we're going to see a game like we saw against Oregon. What was that? 6, 7, 8 sacks in that game.
That
I
was
don't think we're going
awesome.
to see one like
Yeah.
that.
Well, we might. You never know.
Well, we
Uh,
might. We might. I'm just saying. I probably not. You know.
Interior, Caden McDonald, Edric Houston. We dodged a bullet with the Houston injury. He's going to be fine. But it did award us the opportunity to get more reps for building depth. In a weird way, it kind of helped. So I'm not as I guess you could say scared about the interior defensive line depth now. Tywone Malone Jr., I saw him. Jason Moore, I saw him. Will Smith Jr., I saw him. All three of them were taking reps with Caden McDonald in practice. I think, again, I don't think the interior is good as what we had last year, but I think we might actually have more depth than what I realized we had.
I think Katie McDonald is going to be the best player on this defensive line as long as he can have the stamina to stay out there for 40, 50 snaps. We know Larry is going to want to, put him out there for that much, especially if you have talk about the depth of the defensive line and Ryan Day, if he still feels the same way he did in the spring. But overall, I think they're going to be about as talented, but it's really the experience thing there and the issue of possibly not having as much stamina as a Tyleek Williams and a Ty Hamilton had. So it's very interesting to try and think about this defensive line compared to last year. Caden McDonald was an absolute menace. I think where you'll probably see a drawback is you'll probably see a drawback on the goal line. I don't think we're going to see the goal line stands that we
That
saw
was that was
last year.
generational, dude.
But that's no slight at the current depth guys because Caden McDonald would just push back the entire interior of those offensive lines. It felt like, and it was just like, yeah, nobody scoring on the goal line very easy on these guys.
At linebacker, Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese. You got Peyton Pierce mentioned as a starter as well from James Laurinaitis. They usually play a 4-2-5. So you got Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, I think, are the two starters. Riley Pettyjohn is getting some run with Pierce, I would believe, as in the two deep there. I think those are your four linebackers with Styles and Reese being the starters.
Yeah, I think you could see Alford at some point later on in the season if he really starts impressing. I think James Laurinaitis is one of those guys that if you impress him enough, he's going to find a way to get you into those games. But I think you're right; those are going to be the four main guys. And we also listen. We need to address this, okay? There are Michigan fans out there that are puffing their chest real high and think that they have better linebackers than Ohio State. You don't. You don't. You Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles are better linebackers than Jay Sean Barham and Ernest Hausman. It's no disrespect to those guys. I'm not trying to disrespect them, but Sonny Styles is getting all American type of recognition right now. And Arvell Reese, I know we haven't seen him in the starter capacity role, but he was arguably better than Sonny Styles last year. So you look at these linebackers, sure, maybe you want to get to the 3-4 guys just because it's a true freshman and a guy that hasn't played very much, maybe, but overall, these two linebackers right here, they got to start putting some respect on Sonny Styles' name because he's a fantastic linebacker, and they're going to learn about Arvell Reese.
Yeah, Arvell Reese is genetically different.
Yeah.
He
He's got the strength and the power of a defensive end, but he's got the speed and the athleticism of safety. Going out there, it's
he's
like, okay, put you a
yeah,
linebacker and go knock somebody's head off, dude.
yeah. Like both Sonny and Arvell are, you're right. They got safety speed with linebacker bodies. Like these are massive human beings. Arvell Reese is going to hurt somebody this year. He is genetically different, and Sonny is he's just an amazing athlete. One of the best athletes to just come through Ohio in a long time.
Do
Um,
you think Arvell Reese would have became a linebacker if it wasn't for James Laurinaitis taking that linebacker coach job? Because I think they would have kept him at defensive end.
I agree with that. You know who he looks like?
Who?
He looks like a slightly smaller Chase Young.
Mm.
That's what I saw in person. I went,
Yeah, I've not
like when
seen him
you
in
look at
person.
him physically, you think
Yeah.
he looks physically like a slightly smaller Chase Young. Like when you looked at Chase Young, you went, "Oh, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's not human. That's a
Yeah.
predator. That's an alien."
The long
You,
hair helped too.
right. You put that hair on Arvell Reese, I think you think it's Chase Young
Yeah.
reincarnated.
It's like, mini predator. Okay, we can
Yeah,
deal with that.
yeah, yeah. It's Predator Part 2. Not maybe not the original, but still pretty doggone fun movie.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I agree with that's a great question. I agree with that actually. Let's go to corner. Jermaine Matthews Jr. and Davison Igbinosun. Those are your starters. Devin Sanchez, Aaron Scott Jr. are my two deep, and they're going to get a lot of run.
Yeah, I heard Chimney Chekwa on the Believe in Buckeyes show talking about the cornerbacks, and he was kind of talking about what we've kind of heard about Jermaine Matthews this offseason, and it's really, really encouraging to me just how much he is becoming a leader and everything on this defense. He was so much like a trash talk kind of guy and kind of get in your head kind of guy, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, I'm not disparaging that at all, but he's almost kind of taken that and become a leader, and I think it's really surprised some of the coaches for his development and what he's become. I think this is the type of stuff you get with championship DNA within your program now. I don't think Jermaine Matthews makes the switch to being more of a leader if they don't win the national championship last year. I think that he comes in and he probably has a little bit of the same attitude that he had before, which is, a little bit of me, and really trash talking guys. But now I think he's just fully invested in the team. I think he's fully invested into leadership, and I think it's a fantastic thing to see. And I think that he is also feeding off the selflessness of a Davison Igbinosun as well. I know a lot of people say Davison Igbinosun came back because of all the holding penalties. I think Davison Igbinosun would have been a day 2 pick or better in the NFL draft if he went. I think he would have been a higher pick than Denzel Burke. But I think Davison Igbinosun saw what a lot of us see, which is that this team could win another national championship this year, number one. And number two, he could increase his draft stock even more. So it does kind of suck because I think if Igbinosun left, we probably would have broke that record or at least tied that record of the draft picks. But it is what it is. I'd rather have a national championship than that record.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Me too. Me too. Let's talk about the corner, nickel corner. This is where a lot of the talk is happening. Uh, Caleb Downs taking a ton of snaps there. He did the day I was there at practice. He was down in the nickel about 50% of the time. I think they were experimenting with it, and boy, did it look good. If you're a tight end and he's on you, you're not catching the football. You're just not. And if you run the football, he might be the best tackler on the team, along with Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. He's literally like it's like having a third linebacker on the line of scrimmage who happens to be able to cover and play nickel. So I love the move, but if they need him back at free, boom, boom, it happens, no problem. And if that's the case, I think obviously Lorenzo Styles Jr. and Bryce West are the two who get the nod. You agree?
Yeah, I think Bryce West and Lorenzo Styles are in there for that nickel spot. I think Lorenzo Styles probably gets it because of the seniority and the experience. He was ahead of Bryce West last year, so I think he probably gets the nod there at the nickel spot. But it would not surprise me at all if Bryce West gets it. I know there's a lot of people thinking this Caleb Downs thing at nickel is going to be more permanent. I feel like this is going to be utilized in those sets with more run heavy teams, right? I could see Caleb Downs playing nickel against Michigan. I could see Caleb Downs, playing nickel against like a Minnesota or something like that, and that being more of the base. I still think you go to the three linebacker sets and stuff like that. You get back to more of the 4-3 against those teams, but when you get in there with the nickel, you have Caleb Downs play there just in case they play a little bit of, run the ball when you think maybe they're going to pass or something like that. So I think it's going to be more situational. I don't think it's going to be the base defense that a lot of people think of. I think the reason they're doing it so much is because it just really, really is beneficial to one, see Malik Hartford next to Jalen McClain out there, see him how they work next to each other, number one. And number two, it just gets them that much more experience. And let's be honest, this safety room is going to have to be without Caleb Downs next year. So they're going to have to figure out what they're going to have to do next year. It doesn't hurt to get a head start on some experience in practice this year.
Yeah, and you mentioned them, McLean and Hartford in the safety position. Fahim Deline, the freshman, I think is going to get some run as
Mm-hmm.
well back there, meaning that Pettyjohn, Sanchez, and Deline are your three freshmen who will not be redshirted. They will play, and they will get some run on that defense. Special teams, real quick. You've got Jaden Fielding back. He was 50% on his field goals beyond 40 yards. That practice that I went to, he looks about like he did last year. So I think it's rinse and repeat. Repeat. It's not bad. It's not the best in the nation. We won a national championship with it last year, so I'm okay with it. And then at punting, you got Joe McGuire and you got Nick McClarty. Of course, Nick I think is the big 6'7" Aussie. I think they're both from Australia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
But either way, we need to improve on punting. I think that's a competition. We'll see how it all goes down. But there's that. All right, JR, let's real quickly go through the schedule and get your rundown. Obviously, Grambling State and Ohio University are wins. Texas, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Texas's offensive line has really been struggling in fall camp. It sounds like, especially losing the right tackle to injury, which obviously nobody should celebrate that. That's terrible for him and their team. Hope he gets better and can play next year for them. However, it does offer an advantage for the Buckeyes here, especially if Texas is going to have to start I believe he's that Baxter kid. I believe he's a redshirt freshman or true freshman, one of the two. If they have to end up starting true freshman, redshirt freshman, one of the two, I think that's a huge advantage for Ohio State, and I think that they're going to capitalize on that. I do think that, like I said, the Texas defensive line last year, the Ohio State offensive line, I think the Ohio State offensive line can neutralize the defensive line for Texas. So I'm not as worried about that. And then also you get into the coordinator stuff. I know Texas has the coordinators back. I get that, but I just don't think that Texas is going to know what to come out against Ohio State. And I think they're going to be kind of guessing early on in the game, which leads me to believe if Ohio State can do kind of what they did to Oregon and just get out of the gate and go crazy, I think there's a path for that to happen in this game. I'm not saying they're going to be up 34 to nothing or something like that, but I wouldn't be surprised we're halfway through the first quarter and Ohio State is up 14 to nothing on Texas because they went out of the gate and they attacked early. I think we could see Ryan Day changing in this way, at least in these big games in the season, really going after teams like they did in the playoffs last year. And I would be very happy if they decide to do that against Texas.
All right, bye on September 20th at Washington. Washington's got a 20-game home win streak going. It'll be at 22 when we get there. Big road game to open up Big Ten play. That's not an easy game. Home against Minnesota. Again, Minnesota's going to be an upper echelon Big Ten team, second tier, fighting somewhere in that second tier. At Illinois, that's a rough game, guys. I've been warning everybody. At Wisconsin in back-to-back weeks on the road, Madison. If that game was a standalone, and it was sandwiched between Rutgers and Maryland or something, I wouldn't feel bad about it at all. But coming off of Illinois and what will be a very physical game, that could be your trap game possibly. Those four games right there from September 27th to October 18th, that's going to make or break your season, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right on it. This is what Zach and I have been saying on the Big Ten Huddle. This is really the portion of the season that I think not as many Buckeye fans are thinking about, but they probably do need to think about. You're playing 3 road games in 4 weeks there, and 2 of those teams are possibly playoff teams this year. Minnesota, probably not, but they're going to probably be that tier under. So I think they're probably more third tier in the Big Ten this season. But I think that speaks to the strength of the Big Ten that you can have a third tier team possibly go 8-4, 7-5, and that makes the conference just that much better, in my opinion. I feel better about that game because it's at home, so it's probably the one I'm least concerned about in this stretch here. But at Washington, that's really going to tell us a lot about the development of Julian Sayin if he's the starter, right? Can he go into a hostile environment? Can he stay calm? Can he go after the team? I think Will Howard showed that, you can go into those hostile environments and play well. Julian Sayin just has to find a way to make that happen against Washington. And then you're completely right about Illinois. That's going to be I wouldn't say scary game, but that's going to be a game that every
No,
Buckeye
it's
fan needs to have
scary.
on their radar.
It's
Well,
scary.
uh, somewhat. I do think that it's not a super explosive Illinois team. They have some good offense and they can grind it out on defense against you, but I don't think it's a game where you're scared that you're going to get down 14-0 and have to claw your way back or anything like that, right? We went down 10-0 against Penn State this past year and you kind of crapped your pants a little bit and that was you thought, oh my gosh, how are we going to get back from this? That obviously could happen against Illinois, but I don't think it's likely that happens. I think Buckeyes are going to have the opportunities to pull away, and they're just going to have to take them.
Speaking of Penn State, after the October 25th bye, James Franklin comes into town. I'm oddly confident about this game, and it has nothing to do with Ohio State. It has everything to do with James Franklin.
Yeah, I think Ryan Day coming off a bye is a big advantage here. I know last year coming off the bye they weren't great against Nebraska, and that's clouded some of our judgments. But you look at Ryan Day's career coming off the bye at Ohio State, and they've been very good. So I think also too. Matt Patricia, Brian Hartline having some extra time to prepare. I know that Penn State has a very lethal coordinator duo in Knowles and Kotelnicki over there, but Knowles isn't impenetrable. We saw what Will Stein did to him last year. We'll see if Brian Hartline can do something like that. He had Kotelnicki's number, and so I do think that's important for Kotelnicki to get some of that coaching up from Knowles there a little bit. But overall, this Penn State defense is going to be very good, but I think Ohio State can find a way to crack them, and I think they do, and I think the Buckeyes get the win here.
Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers there, that stretch from the 8th to the 22nd. UCLA is interesting now because Nico comes back to town. I look at UCLA and think that they have a very good shot of being a bowl team.
Yeah. I mean, Nico, better running backs, possibly a better offensive line. I do think the wide receivers are something that they're going to need to make sure that they get shored up over there. But overall, UCLA is going to be a better team this year, and I think Deshaun Foster showed last year his guys play for him hard. And so, even if UCLA is not anywhere close to a bowl, although I think they probably will be close to a bowl coming into this game, you're still going to get a really tough game, and you're still going to get a motivated Nico who wants to come back into the shoe and perform better than he did with Tennessee.
November 29th, the game in Ann Arbor. We're calling it BTB, beat the blue, beat those bums, beat them, whatever you want to put in there.
But
Yep, beat them buddies. Um, hashtag BTB. It's a tush push Ryan Day across the goal line game for Ohio State fans, in my opinion. It's got to happen. We got to turn the tide. This could be a very important game because if we come in this game 9-2, which is what my prediction will be, and Jerry believes that from the three shots of whiskey podcast or three glasses of whiskey podcast that they will be 9-2 as well. It could be a play-in game and an elimination game. Maybe. I'm not saying that that's the case. My co-host Chris says no way. That's not going to be it at all because Michigan's not very good. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. It's got to change here, right?
I have said until Ohio State beats Michigan again, because Ryan Day has beat Michigan, even though the fans don't want to give him credit for that one. Um, until he does it again, my thing I'm going to say about this game, Ohio State should win this game, but I'm not picking them to win it until they win it. It's like if your spouse does something you can't trust him anymore. It's like I want to trust you again at some point. I just need to see it before I can do it again, and that's how I feel about Ryan Day right now. He's like my spouse. Ryan Day,
Ooh.
I'll trust you. I'll trust you again once you prove it to me. I know you got it in you. I believe in you. Just got to prove it first.
So what JR just told us is when it comes to Ryan Day, he says, "I do."
Sure,
Till
that's what you
till
want. Yeah.
till death do us part.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. All right. What's the ceiling? What's the floor for this team this year, JR?
Ceiling is 12-0. Floor. I know Buckeye fans got mad at me when I said this, but it really could happen with some of these games on here. Floor is 8-4. Don't think 8-4 is likely at all, but it could happen. So technically, that is the floor. But I think 10-2 or 11-1 is your most likely scenario for this team.
Yep, I'm with you, man. JR, pleasure as always. Tell everybody about the Big Ten Huddle, man. Where to find you.
Yeah, you can find the Big Ten Huddle podcast, over on YouTube, things like that. We have a dedicated football channel and a dedicated basketball channel. So if you're into Big Ten basketball as well, go over there. You can find the Big Ten Huddle dash football or the Big Ten Huddle dash basketball. Follow us, subscribe, put out a good amount of content on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff as well. So go check us out there. And overall, we want to be your source for Big Ten opinions, Big Ten laughter, and anti-SEC talk.
Which we love. Go check them out, everybody. If you're not subscribed already, do us a big favor, man. Be a good Buckeye. Go subscribe to JR and the Big Ten Huddle, and Zach Guggenheim, our buddy Zach. They're the best, man. Absolutely the best. JR, any last thoughts about Ohio State, man, before we wrap this up?
No, just thank you for the kind words. Thanks for having me on, and go Buckeyes.
Go Bucks. And thanks to JR over at the Big Ten Huddle for joining us for our Ohio State preview. We salute you, my man. Doing great, doing God's work over there, fighting against the SEC, brother. All right, Chris, here we go. Let's break it down. Here is the schedule this season for our Buckeyes. Vegas once again has this team at 10.5 wins. By the way, is that not the prettiest old school Ohio State logo you've
That's
ever
very
seen?
nice.
I
Very
love
nice.
that. I love that. That reminds me of my childhood so much, dude. I had an old Ohio State tank top with that on it,
I
man.
actually have a hoodie with that on it.
Do you really?
Mhm.
Game
A
one,
newer hoodie.
August 30th, 2 weeks from today, high noon on Fox, in the shoe. Number one ranked Texas rolls into town. Chris, you have this as a win.
Absolutely. I
I
just look at this, Eric, as two teams that are in very much a similar position, and I've got Ohio State with the home field advantage here.
I got us dropping this one. I'm not gonna lie. Right now, I say that with put a caveat in here, put a carrot here. I hold the right to change my opinion when we do our Ohio State versus Texas preview. But until I know differently, I'm going to stick with my initial prediction and say Texas gets a little bit of revenge, beats Ohio State in the shoe, game number 1.
It's okay, Eric. You're allowed to be wrong.
I am allowed to be wrong. That's correct. Grambling State, Ohio University, those will be wins. No one's even going to give those two teams a chance, let's be honest. Bye number 1 comes on the 20th, and then on September 27th, they go on the road and what's going to be a hostile environment in Seattle, Washington. It's Huskies, it's Buckeyes. Chris, this is not going to be an easy game.
It's not going to be easy, but I don't think it's going to be half as hard as what some people think. I think this is Ohio State's just much more talented. They're better coached. I think this is an Ohio State win. It's going to be a double-digit win.
Ohio State wins this one, in my opinion, as well. They come home on October 4th against Minnesota. Again, this is a game Minnesota team, but this is at home. I got this one as the Buckeyes.
Agreed.
October 11th, another tricky road game at Illinois. Chris.
For me, I have Ohio State taking a loss here. Illinois is going to be that tricky win that pops up, or tricky loss that pops up on the schedule. This is a very experienced team. I really love what Burt Bielema has put together over at Illinois. They're playing tough, old school Big Ten football. So I've got them winning this one.
I do as well. I have we're going to this one.
Yeah.
So
I hope we're wrong.
I hope we're wrong. October 18th at Wisconsin. I got Ohio State winning this one. I think this is a bounce back win, an angry Ohio State team, and a team that now has its back against the wall.
Yeah, and I feel bad for Luke Fickell at this point because given their schedule and Ohio State's anger coming off a loss, this could be pretty ugly for Wisconsin.
November 1st, after their second bye, Penn State rolls into town, and until James Franklin proves me otherwise, I will continue to believe that James Franklin will do exactly what he always does, and he will James Franklin himself. I have the Buckeyes winning this one at home.
I do as well.
At Purdue, November 8th, this will be a bloodbath. November 15th, UCLA rolls into town. Nico comes back. I think this is going to be a much more game UCLA team than what we saw last year. I have UCLA getting to a bowl game, going 6-6, but it's not because they win in the shoe. I think Ohio State wins this one.
I agree. I think this is, like you said, it's going to be an improved Bruins team, but they are not ready for Ohio State.
Hopefully Rutgers has got to win number 6 before November 22nd because their last two games are at Ohio State and against Penn State. Those are going to be big losses for the Scarlet Knights. I have Ohio State winning this one.
I've got this one as an easy win, yeah.
And then November 29th in Ann Arbor, in the big outhouse, I got the Buckeyes marching in up there with a giant chip on their shoulder, needing to win this game to get back to the college football playoff, needing to get that monkey off their back. And yes, they absolutely do. We tush push Ryan Day across the goal line. Hashtag BTB Buckeyes with the win.
Yeah, excuse me. I agree. I feel this is where Ryan Day gets his revenge. Let's call it what it is. It's going to be true revenge. He has fixed almost everything. That's the last thing to fix. That and getting the Big Ten title back.
That's what we got, guys. I've got 10-2, 8-1 in the Big Ten. Chris, you've got 11-1, 8-1 in the Big Ten. Because of that loss against Texas, I have Ohio State sitting on the outside of a triple 8-1 tie. I have Oregon, Penn State rematch in the Big Ten championship game. You said, well, how's that possible? Didn't you have Ohio State beating Penn State? I do, but I also have Oregon. I also have Penn State beating Oregon. That's their one loss. And Ohio State doesn't play Oregon. I think because of the um, tie, they go to the non-conference overall record, I do believe, which means Ohio State, because I have them losing to Texas, will be on the outside looking in once again. And I don't necessarily hate that.
I understand where people are at, where they say that they want that home game again for the playoff. I think a lot of people are miffed that they didn't take the opportunity to go to last year's home playoff game. Fact is, I don't like it. I want the Big Ten title. And I think that Ohio State's going to get there this year and they're going to finish business.
Who do you have them going up against?
I have Ohio State versus, I believe it was Oregon.
I can look real fast.
No, I've got Ohio State, Penn State in a rematch because I've got Penn State and Oregon
You
both with 2
have,
losses in
yep, and
conference.
you have Penn State winning the head-to-head.
They're head to head.
I'm just double checking, make sure you don't have anybody else with 2 losses. You have Nebraska with 3, so
Yep.
they're 1 away.
And I believe I had Illinois with 2 as well. They might have 3, but I think they got 2. They got 3.
You have them losing to Indiana, Ohio State, and Washington.
Washington.
How do you have them losing? You just said no, they only have 2. Chris.
Yeah.
You have them losing to Indiana and Washington. You have them beating Ohio State.
Correct. You're right. So yeah, that would actually make
It's going to be, I don't know what would happen in that scenario. I ain't going to lie. Because Illinois doesn't play Oregon head to head. I
and they
get
don't play Penn State head to head.
I guess it would come down to who has the better strength of schedule. Is that how it would happen? And based off of the fact that
Penn State would have the strength of schedule.
no, but because Penn State would lose to Ohio State though, so they
That's
couldn't.
right.
And Illinois is beating Ohio State, and they don't play Penn State. And Oregon, oh geez, it would actually be Illinois. It'd be a rematch with Illinois, I believe.
Either way, I've got Ohio State beating the crap out of somebody in a
See,
rematch.
this is an issue they have now with the conference championships because you have so many teams in the conference now that this crap happens. It's going to happen almost every single year, and it's crap. This is one of the reasons why I look at the conference championship and I go, it's crap. Just don't have it, and everybody who has the same record wins it, and it's a tie again, like it was before. Because it doesn't. It just really doesn't. Hey, you're all conference champions. You're all going to the playoffs, and that would screw up with the SEC, wouldn't it? But the networks will never ever let that happen.
Too much money to be lost.
Too much money, which is a part of the problem. All right, Chris, that is our official predictions. That is our official Ohio State preview. Your final thoughts on the season, buddy, for the Buckeyes.
I think this is a team that very talented, lacks a little experience. I think that there's a lot of parity, like I said, in football this year. I don't know that there is a great team in football this year right now to start the season. So I believe it's possible that this team has the ability to get back to that national championship again.
Sure.
The one thing Ohio State has never done, we talked about it the other night with Doug Maurice, they've never repeated. In fact, no team in the Big Ten has done that other than Minnesota back in the 1950s.
Jeez. It might have been before the 50s.
Yeah, it was 52, 53, I believe.
Oh my gosh. Model Ts?
It was the last time Michigan was relevant. How about that?
Well said. Well, apparently not as relevant as Minnesota then.
That's right.
This has been a doing these previews is a marathon. It is a ton of coordination. It is a week in, week out grind to do 9 straight weeks of scheduling, multiple recordings. Every time we do a preview, it's 2 recordings for me. It's one with the interview and it's one with Chris. I've done 36 different recordings for these 18 previews.
And think of where we would be if we didn't have our partners on the college huddle.
Oh, a great point. Um, yeah, it is. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of late nights, like tonight on a work night for us now. For you, Chris, work night. It was work night for me every
Mm-hmm.
time. For you, it was summer, but you were still working. But you get my drift, and and I just want to say thank you, Chris, for your hard work, your dedication to this channel. We are 95 subscribers away from 4,500.
I would
As
love to see those within the next 2 weeks. That's a big stretch, but I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I would love to see us hit 4,500 before the game. And so if you've hung around to the end of this preview, you're probably already a subscriber. But just in case you aren't, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you are already a subscriber, thank you so much. We hope you have enjoyed these previews this year. We've refined them, we've tweaked them. I think we got them right where I like them. They're concise, they're to the point. They're a lot of fun to dive more into the interviews and to learn more about what our opponents are thinking about their teams. And they're a lot of fun. And I appreciate everybody's participation in it. We had 18 fantastic people to interview, and we got through it. And here we are. We're on the precipice of the season. We are finally to week 0, which means we are 2 weeks away from week 1 and Ohio State kicking off the season against Texas. So now feels like the right time to let you all know we will have a game preview every single week. They will be very similar to what you just experienced in the season previews for the Big Ten teams. Our opponent will bring in a media member or a huddle member who covers the team from every school. And if we don't have one in the huddle from that school, we will find some kind of podcaster, content creator, somebody who will know something more about the opponent than what we will to ask them questions about their team. We will break down any history that's involved with that team. We will break down statistics going into the game that seem relevant for that particular matchup, and we will of course give you our predictions for that game. We also will have on every Sunday night the roundtable, which is always a review of the game. We give out Buckeye leaves, we give out a grade card. We talk in the second part of the show is some kind of topic that we discuss surrounding the game, team, or college football in general. And it's a lot of fun. And we will have 3 hosts and hopefully one guest. If we can't find a guest, we'll have 4 hosts from the OHIO podcast for the roundtable each and every single week, hopefully, so that we can keep the discussion moving. And it'll be a great time, 8 o'clock Eastern every Sunday night, right here on the OHIO podcast. The preview will drop later in the week, usually Wednesday or Thursday is when the preview drops in the evening for everybody. And of course, the Buckeye Lounge will continue to do their thing on Tuesday night, and we will have our call-in show Monday night, every Monday night, and we are changing the other call-in show. I'm putting it here at the end of this video for a reason. Again, if you're still listening and watching this video, you are a diehard, which is why we're doing this now. We will be moving, per your request, we will be moving the Thursday night call-in show to Saturday mornings. It'll be a Saturday morning call-in show preview for the game for that day in college football. More than likely, Chris will be running the Saturday morning call-in show. I will be taking over the Monday evening call-in show. So that is the change to the lineup. We have hinted at this. We have actually, Chris, in our preview magazine, there is an Easter egg in there. If anybody ever saw it, it was right there the whole time. So that is the major change to the lineup. Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Saturday morning. So, and then Thursday will more than likely become the preview.
And possibly more to come, Eric? Without
Possibly
announcing
more.
things?
Possibly more.
To come.
We'll see. We're working on some other things. Well, hopefully it comes through, but I'm not going to promise nothing because sometimes it doesn't depend on Chris and I. And so you never know. But, and then make sure you're subscribed to the College Huddle, because the College Huddle, I will be doing a Sunday afternoon show on the College Huddle. I will hopefully be joined by somebody from the College Huddle on Sunday to talk about what happened on Saturday. And I will also be doing a midweek interview every week with somebody from the College Huddle previewing a big game, the big games for that week. Hopefully one of the people I will be talking to, their team will be in one of the big games. So that is the plan over at the College Huddle as well. I think it's going to go great over there. And we've got a lot of great people, and we're continuing to grow, and we're about to announce 3 new podcasts over there. So a lot of great stuff happening over at the College Huddle as well. There you go. We made it, Chris. We just crossed the finish line.
Now the real work begins.
Now the real race happens. Now the sprint happens.
That's right.
If that was the marathon.
That was the marathon. Now it's time to sprint.
This is the sprint. So go lace up our shoes. Chris and I are going to take a quick get a quick drink, a quick refresher, lace up our shoes.
You know what we're going to do next? We're going to go whoop on some defensive ends, right?
Y'all know what we're going to do.
Y'all know what we're going to do.
I love that guy, man. He became one of my favorite coaches. Him and Coach Locke, dude. Love him. All right. Be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH. Sing Carmen, Ohio with all your heart. Till next time, Chris. OH.
IO.
Go Bucks.